Stephen A was the one partner I've ever had over like years.
Yeah.
Where I didn't feel like a relationship was really forming.
You could feel a little bit watching it. And it was hard
Yeah.
to tell how much of it was theater and how much of it was like, oh, these guys just don't get along in the same way, or
Whatever you feel about who you're working with and what the situation is, to me, a cardinal sin is betraying that on the air.
I just finished telling you, when it come to boxing, I lay off. Did I not? I did say that. Every time you open your mouth about basketball, it's clear this ain't your expertise.
I do think it reached the point on that show where it was like, come on, dude.
I like Stephen A, and I've always gotten along with him. I didn't love how he handled the aftermath of you leaving, where it's basically like, I told you the show would be better. I just thought, because I think you're really talented.
It was like I was damn near doing the show by myself.
If you're doing a debate show and you're a competitive person,
yeah,
why would you want me as a partner? That's bad. You want to go 15 rounds every day with Muhammad Kellerman? That's just bad. You know, it's embarrassing.
In an interview with Bill Simmons, Max Kellerman spoke about the difficulty working with Stephen A. Smith and why he thinks he was booted from the show. First, he said the only thing he didn't like about Stephen A.'s podcast tour was that he aired out their personal business behind the scenes of First Take.
I didn't like working with him, man.
It's not like anyone said to me, hey, this is top secret, don't repeat this. But I think there's a general understanding that if someone's talking to you in private, it's a private conversation. And I wouldn't repeat that unless they said it was okay to repeat what they told me.
Yeah.
So that's what I could tell you about, like the behind the scenes stuff on First Take, for example.
Max believes the reason Stephen A. booted him, other than their relationship issues, was that he was so hard to debate.
I have an idea. This is what I want to put on TV. I want to spar Bud Crawford every day for 15 rounds, and I want everyone to see it. Eventually, you're going to say, I don't want to do that anymore.
And that he could gain more traction and more money being a solo act.
If you make a calculation that if you can be perceived as a solo act, really, that you can get paid at a certain level that you can't if you're not a solo act, then you'd like to be a solo act, or at least perceived that way.
Which makes perfect sense. Stephen A. launched his own podcast shortly after the removal of Max, and he gained more power on the show. He had a rotating panel of guests that he could change at any time. He had Patrick Beverly and JJ Redick at one point, and then all of a sudden, he brought in the Morris twins. But the biggest part of the interview was Max revealing his role on First Take and why it was so hard. He was forced to look crazy, so Stephen A. could always be the voice of reason.
Stephen A. has no hot takes. Stephen A. almost never, I can't think of any counterintuitive conclusions that he ever reaches. That's not his job on the air. His job is to be the big reactor to a counterintuitive conclusion. Reactor. Just, he's there to hear the crazy conclusion that his partner has come to and actually be the everyman with a loud voice. Like, you are crazy.
Are you on drugs?
Donate it to charity.
Are you on drugs?
Right out there on Front Street on Twitter.
Stay off the weed.
He said Stephen A. had zero hot takes and would always take the safe answer on every topic. Max was basically forced to play the role of Skip Bayless. He had to find a way to come up with crazy hot takes to get views and make Stephen A. look good.
There's a lot of pressure on his partner to come up with a counterintuitive conclusion about everything. Now, how do you do that? You know, what you do is you take a topic, and a good producer will start to drill down on the topic and say, okay, so you agree about this. So Mahomes is a great quarterback, but what does he do well and what does he not? And you keep going down until until you get a divergent opinion. Well, actually, I think he is good at this. No, I think he's good. No, actually, the most important player on that, we both think this is going to win. This team's going to win the championship. We both think this is why. Drill down. But no, actually, the key player is, other than the superstar, is this guy. No, it's that guy. Actually, Draymond Green is the second most important player on the Warriors. But there was a lot of pressure on that show. Like Stephen A.'s opinion will not diverge into counterintuitive almost ever. So his big take will be, but he'll deliver it theatrically, is Steph Curry is the greatest shooter that God ever created. Who does not know this?
Yeah.
Everyone knows this. So the difficulty with me on that show was it was a lot of work to keep digging until I said the thing that I believed that would also get a reaction.
Is Kawhi actually a better player under pressure than the great Kobe Bean Bryant?
Yes, he is.
No one had more heart than Kobe.
So there was pressure on that show for me to keep
Here's
digging
a great
until you
one.
hear something you think is crazy.
But Max is a lot more reasonable than Skip Bayless. He even called Skip Bayless insane, so this role was really hard for him. But this does explain all the viral clips of Max Kellerman saying the most ridiculous things.
Fate of the universe on the line, or the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth, you better hit it. I want Iguodala. Tom Brady's just about done. He is going to fall off a cliff.
And Stephen A's most famous quote, "You're wrong and here's why." Max was uncomfortable in this role and preferred to have longer debates. Stephen A could probably sense this, and it was one of the reasons he got rid of Max. It also explains why he brought in Mad Dog Russo and kept Kendrick Perkins.
You heard what the hell I said.
They're two of the biggest hot take generators out there. So while I do think Stephen A could have handled things better, it's clear from both sides that Max Kellerman just wasn't a good fit for First Take.